Hi everyone, I hope you're having an amazing day so far. My name is Dina and on my channel I talk about all things green, including plant sustainability and plant-based food, and occasionally small business stuff because I have my own e-commerce, wholesale and retail store where I sell macrame home decor and accessories. If you're into that sort of thing, make sure you subscribe and feel free to follow me on Instagram at earthlingdina, which is where I'm most active, and on TikTok at earthlingdina as well. So as you can tell from the title of this video and from this huge snake plant in my hand, today's video is going to be all about snake plants. We talk a little bit about snake plant care, as well as how to repot snake plants and how to propagate. So this one really needs some care and some repotting, and I thought since it's spring now, we would get the show on the road. So let's get right into the video. So unfortunately, I don't have the best setup for plant repotting and stuff by my actual plants, so I always do it in my kitchen. So I hope you don't mind seeing random stuff. I didn't clean up after I made my bubble tea. I made a video on it too, so if you want to watch how I made bubble tea, go check it out. Okay, so let's talk about the snake plant. Snake plants are one of my favorite plants because they come in lots of different varieties and are very easy to care for. If you saw my first ever video on this channel, I talked about beginner houseplants, and the snake plant was one of them because they really are so easy. The best thing to do with a snake plant is to forget that you have it and only water once in a while. Basically, that's it, but there are a few other things, and I thought I would talk about ways to make sure that your snake plant thrives, and also how you can make new snake plants out of it, and what you do when it outgrows its pot. My cat decided to join us. It's funny because she hates being in pictures, she hates being held, she hates like videos, she avoids it at all costs. Hi! If you follow me on Instagram, you will always see my dog and my other cat, because this one just hates being in photos, but maybe she wants to be the YouTube star. Are you the YouTube star? Yes, she's the star of my channel now. So the reason snake plants are so easy is because they are really tolerant of a lot of different conditions. So for light, let's talk about light. Most plants thrive in brighter light conditions, including the snake plant. However, they are low light tolerant, so they can do with low light, but they will thrive with medium to bright light. Low light does not equal no light because obviously a snake plant is still a plant, it's not a fake plant. It needs light to photosynthesize and survive. But mine currently is in, I would say, bright morning light and then medium to low afternoon light. So it does get some bright light, but it is mostly in medium light and it likes it a lot. So I would say if you can give it medium to bright light, it would prefer that. But if you only have low light, it's definitely a good low light plant for you too. Now, one thing that a lot of people will get wrong with snake plants is that they will overwater them. Snake plants are drought tolerant, which means that they prefer to dry out rather than being overwatered. I like to wait until my snake plant has completely dried out before I rewater it. This usually means that I water it maybe every 2 weeks in the summertime and maybe every 4 to 5 weeks in the winter. But never use set times that other people give you to water your plant because your conditions might be different. So make sure you check to see if the soil has actually dried out. There's a couple ways you can do this. First of all, you lift up the plant. If it's feeling pretty light, it might be that the soil is dry because when the soil is wet, it tends to be a lot heavier. Another way is to just stick your finger in. You can stick it in the top, stick it in the bottom holes. Get a moisture meter and stick it around your plant to see what the moisture level is at. If it's at dry, then that means you can probably water it again. But definitely stay on the safe side and try not to water it too much because it can take dry soil, but it can't take wet soil because it will most likely get root rot. It hates to have wet soil. If you're top watering the plant, you want to really let the water soak through the top of the soil and let it drain out the bottom. You don't want to just put a little bit of water in and then put it back. You want to make sure all the soil gets nice and wet, but let it drain so that the water doesn't sit in the bottom, which means try to pot it in a pot that has drainage holes. Now, I know some people like potting without drainage. I don't at all, and I don't recommend it, but it works for other people, and that's fine. If it works for you, then it works for you. But if you have a problem with overwatering, and especially if you have a plant that hates being overwatered, you want to make sure that you really let the water drain before you put it back. If you're bottom watering, I would just like submerge the whole plant, let it sit a little bit, and then drain it again. I haven't noticed that my snake plant needs humidity at all. I don't think they really care much about humidity. But if you do live in a very dry area, the tops can get a little bit crispy looking. So they might brown on the top and start to look a little crispy. Oh my goodness, here comes another cat. You stay on the floor. You stay. This one is my cat that has chewed this plant. So let's talk about toxicity. Is this plant toxic? It is considered toxic, but I haven't checked the level of toxicity. I don't think it's very toxic because he has chewed it and nothing has happened, but keep it away from your pets. That's it. He's eyeing it from the floor, my cat. Oh, there he comes. Check it out. Hi, baby. This is Simba. He's my boy, my little plant biter. Don't you freaking bite my plant again. Keep it away from your pets, because even if it's not toxic, who wants a plant that has tons of bite marks in it? One thing I've noticed about the snake plant is that it doesn't tend to have a lot of pests. I've never had pests on my snake plant, at least not that I know of, and I've heard that snake plants are pretty hardy, so they aren't that appealing to most pests, except for cats apparently. Pest control for snake plants isn't that difficult or much different than pest control for any other plant. So if you'd like to see a video on pest control and ways to make sure that you don't get pests or how to get rid of pests on plants, definitely let me know and I'll make a video on it. But snake plants don't tend to get a lot of pests, so. Lastly, I've noticed that snake plants do prefer to be a little bit root bound, but I can tell that mine needs to be repotted because the outer leaves are really crisping up, like they're actually dead. I have to cut them off because there's not enough room for them to grow. And when I look at the bottom, I can see that the roots are starting to come out of the bottom, so I think it's time for a repot. Let's move on to repotting and propagating snake plants. So as you can tell, the roots are really pushing on the sides and the bottom, like the pot even broke a little bit here. But since I'm going to be separating the plant, I'm not gonna upsize the pot, but usually when you're repotting, you wanna upsize so that the roots have more room to grow. But since I'm gonna be taking some of the snake plant away, some of the roots are also gonna be gone, which means it'll have room to grow. I also just don't have a bigger pot anywhere, so that's kind of that. So now I'm just gonna kind of force it to come out. I think if I pull, it's just gonna come. Yeah. Ta-da! As you can see, it's very, very root bound. I got this 2 years ago. Actually, my boyfriend got it on one of our first dates. I always explain this if you haven't heard the story yet. I made him take me plant shopping on one of our first dates and made him get plants. So he got this one and he loves it, but I take care of it. So now that we're living together, so yeah, it's very, very root bound. Yeah, so what I'm going to do to start is I'm gonna first of all remove all of the little ugly leaves. If they don't just pull away, you can use scissors or something, or a knife. Just make sure they're sanitized. Ow. So I'm just gonna pull these away. My soil is full of dog and cat hair. Goodness. So I'm just gonna pull this away and compost this. And then I'm gonna kind of start just opening up the bottom a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier for it to grow when I put it back in the pot. So as you can see here, this is a rhizome. It's basically part of how the snake plant came to be. And this is fairly new. This wasn't here when I first got the plant, and as you can see, it's growing a little baby. So this is one way that you can propagate your plants. They will expand through the rhizome and shoot up new leaves. So you can literally just take that like this, and it's not gonna give way, so I'm just gonna cut it with my sanitized scissors. Make sure it has some roots on it, and we're just gonna snip. Ugh. And there you have it. That's one way to propagate. It's really easy to propagate when you're repotting this way, so I'm just gonna pull this away. So cute. That's the only thing I'm going to take off, I think. Yeah. Just gonna take the soil off a little bit. I think I am going to try to find a larger pot. Actually, I might have one somewhere. I'm gonna look around because I didn't end up taking that much off of the plant, so it still looks like it needs more room. So I'm gonna go find a pot. So I ended up finding this terracotta pot, and it is a little bit big, I think, but I'm gonna make sure I have well-draining soil. And it does have a drainage hole, so I think it will be fine. Usually I don't like to pot up too big unless I'm like replanting more plants into it, or I know that it's gonna really grow soon. But these are fairly slow growers, so I think I am still going to pot it in here though. So I'm gonna put it back down. I'm gonna expand to this a little bit too. And I'm gonna go get my chunky soil mix. I'm just gonna put a little bit of orchid bark. I just got this at my local nursery. I'm gonna put that at the bottom just because the hole is fairly big. Like, it's coming out already, but it'll make sure that all the soil doesn't fall out. I'm just gonna put that at the bottom. Then I'm gonna put the rest of the soil back in. Hi, baby. Hi. There's some like random stuff I'm gonna pull out. Hi, this is not to eat. And I just wanna put enough soil so that my snake plant sits about where the top of the pot is. You don't want to put soil too high on the leaves or it can cause rotting. So you want to keep the soil level the same. Just make sure that the bottom has more room to grow. You never want to put soil above the leaves. You always want to put more at the bottom when you have a pot that's bigger. So I think I'm going to, put it like that. It looks good. So I just have my chunky soil mix here. I have a video on Instagram about how I make it and everything that's in it, so make sure to go check it out or comment down below for the link. I use it for pretty much everything, so I'm going to use it for this too. Basically what I'm doing now is just filling out the sides because that is where most of the opening is. I wish I had like a better tool to put it in, but I'm just gonna put it around the sides. Make sure the snake plant is snug, but not too compacted. You helping, Mama? You helping me, my boy? Yes. Diesel wants to help. I dropped some stuff on the floor, I think orchid bark, and he started chewing on it. Why is it called orchid bark? It's not made from orchid, is it? It's meant for orchid, I think. But I don't actually know what it is made from. So, as you can see, that's about how much I want to put in. Make sure if there's a lot that it's stable. It is a little bit unstable because the soil is very, very, very dry. It really needed to be watered, so that's why I wanted to repot at this time. So here we have it. I'm just gonna clean up the soil a little bit. I spilled everywhere because I don't have a potting mat. I keep saying I need to buy one, but I have no money, so this works just fine. So honestly, I've gotten used to it. And then I also have this little guy that I need to repot, so I'm gonna go get a little pot for it and pot it as well, just the same way. Okay, so now that I've repotted my snake plants and, well, propagated it and also repotted it, I'm going to show you one more way to propagate, which is literally just to take a leaf itself and put it in water. I personally haven't had a ton of success with this. I did once, but many of my cuttings ended up just getting mushy and failing. So if you want to try this way, you can, but I don't think the success rate is the same as taking like little babies. But we're gonna try it anyway. And I'm not gonna wait around for it to root to post this video, so if you do wanna see it, make sure you follow along on Instagram, because if it works, I'll share it there. But I don't have a ton of success, so I can't say like this is a good way to do it, although I've seen lots of other people have success. So if you wanna try it, definitely do, but it's not my favorite way. I'm gonna take this leaf right here. I'm gonna make sure you guys can see it. I'm just gonna cut it at the bottom, kind of. So literally just cut off a leaf, and then I'm gonna cut a triangle in the bottom. Like this, and then just stick it in a jar of water. So that's where the roots will grow from, at the bottom, if it works. So follow me on Instagram if you want to see. Basically it. All I'm gonna do now is water the plant, and just water. I want to make sure all the soil is nice and moist. I'm gonna let it sit in the water too, so that I can bottom water a little bit. Alright, well, thank you everybody for watching. If you like this kind of video, or if you want to see any other videos, make sure to comment down below, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok at EarthlingDina. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.